My girlfriend said, "I owe you no explanation about my nights." I replied, "Then neither do I." Then I accepted a job overseas, packed my life into boxes without a word, disappeared from our apartment, and I just watched a year later as she broke down when she saw who was standing beside me. Welcome back to AF Tales. In today's story, we explore a relationship where one sentence about not owing explanations pushed a man to quietly accept a life-changing job offer and disappear overnight. As you listen, notice the moment where you would have asked one more question or walked away without asking anything at all. My name is Aaron. I'm 32, a software architect, and I work remotely for a tech firm based in Seattle. I've always preferred the quieter neighborhoods of Portland, Oregon. I make decent money, not flashy but stable. I like clear plans, honest conversations, and mutual respect. 3 years ago, I met Lauren at a mutual friend's birthday party in downtown Portland. She was 28, a marketing consultant, and the kind of person who could light up a room without trying. Dark blonde hair, sharp green eyes, and a laugh that made strangers turn and smile. We hit it off over terrible karaoke and cheap wine. Within 6 months, we were living together in a 2-bedroom apartment with exposed brick and a view of the city. The first 2 years were solid. Weekend trips to the coast, a vacation in Costa Rica, camping in the Cascades. Weeknight dinners, lazy Sundays, our own friends, our own space. It felt balanced. I thought we were building something real. Then somewhere around the 2.5-year mark, things started shifting. It wasn't one big fight. It was a pattern. Lauren began coming home later without mentioning where she'd been. She spent hours on her phone, tilting the screen away when I walked by. Her answers got shorter, distracted. When I asked how her day was, I got fine, busy, the usual. At first, I told myself it was normal. Everyone deserves privacy, but privacy and secrecy aren't the same thing, and I think most people can feel the difference even when they try to ignore it. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Thursday in late September. I remember because I had a big presentation the next morning for a potential client, the kind of meeting that could land our firm a massive contract. Lauren texted me around 6:00 p.m. "Going out with coworkers for drinks at a new bar downtown." I replied, "Cool. Have fun. Be safe." She wrote back, "Will do, don't wait up." By 11:00 p.m., I was in bed half asleep with my laptop next to me reviewing notes one last time. That's when I realized she still wasn't home. I checked my phone, nothing. I texted her, "Hey, you good?" No response. I tried to sleep. Midnight came, then 100 a.m., then 200 a.m. By 300 a.m., I was wide awake, pacing the living room with a tight knot in my chest. This wasn't like her, not the staying out part, but the silence. I called her twice, straight to voicemail. I left a message. "Hey, it's me, just checking in, call me when you get this." Then I texted her friends, Kelsey, Amanda, Beth. No one responded. My mind went to worst-case scenarios. I considered calling hospitals and then felt ridiculous for even thinking that, but the worry didn't go away. That's the quiet trap. When someone disappears on you, you start apologizing to yourself for caring. She finally walked through the door at 4:47 a.m. Her makeup was smudged, black streaks under her eyes. Her hair was messy, half fallen out of the bun she'd left in. She smelled like alcohol, cigarette smoke, and cologne that wasn't mine. That last part sat in the back of my mind like a warning light. "Where the hell were you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She kicked off her heels and let them clatter against the hardwood, barely looking at me. "Out," she said, like that covered everything. "Out where?" I asked. "I've been calling you for hours. I was about to call the police." She sighed like I was an inconvenience. "Aaron, I'm an adult," she said. "I don't need to check in with you every 5 minutes." "Check in," I repeated. "Lauren, you were gone all night. You didn't answer your phone once. I thought something happened to you. I was terrified." She walked past me toward the bedroom, wobbling slightly. "I was with friends," she said. "We lost track of time. It's not a big deal." I followed her down the hall. "Not a big deal," I said. You couldn't send one text. Do you know how worried I was?" She stopped in the bedroom doorway and turned around, and the look on her face wasn't guilt. It wasn't even annoyance. It was something colder than that. Like she'd already decided my feelings were a problem she shouldn't have to deal with. Then she said it. "Even if I stay out all night, I'm not obligated to explain where I am." The words hit like ice water. I just stared at her. "What did you just say?" I asked. "You heard me," she said, pulling off her earrings. "I'm not your property. I don't owe you a minute-by-minute breakdown. We're partners, not parent and child." And something in me snapped, not into anger, into clarity. Because if someone hears "I was worried about you" and responds with "I don't owe you anything," they're not talking about boundaries. They're talking about distance. I nodded slowly. "Okay," I said quietly. Then I added, "Then neither am I." She paused like she might argue, then shrugged. "Fine," she said, and went into the bathroom and closed the door. I went back to the living room and sat on the couch, staring at the wall until the sun came up. I didn't cry. I didn't rage text. I didn't start a fight. I just kept replaying that sentence in my head because it felt like the truth finally being spoken out loud. The next morning, I went to my presentation running on zero sleep and pure adrenaline. I crushed it. I answered every question. I walked out knowing we'd land the contract. My boss congratulated me, clapped me on the shoulder. But my mind wasn't there. All I could hear was Lauren's voice saying she didn't owe me an explanation. When I got back to the apartment around 2:00 p.m., Lauren was already gone. There was a note on the counter, "Client meetings all afternoon." I sat down and opened my email. There it was, the message I'd been sitting on for 3 weeks. A company in Dublin, Ireland had offered me a senior software architect position, 40% pay bump, full relocation package, stock options, work that actually excited me. They'd reached out through LinkedIn, flown me out for interviews in September, and made the offer a week later. I had been planning to reject it because of Lauren, because I thought we had a future, because I thought choosing her was the responsible thing to do. I stared at the email for a long time. Then I thought about the woman who came home at nearly 5 in the morning and told me she didn't owe me anything. And I hit reply. "I accept your offer. When do I start?" They responded within an hour. Start date November 1st, 4 weeks away. I didn't tell Lauren. I went through the motions. I came home. I made dinner. I watched TV beside her. I asked about her day. She gave short answers. She was on her phone. She went out. She worked late. Some nights she came home at 100 or 200 a.m., slipped into bed without a word and left again before I woke up. And the longer I stayed known for something that wasn't being said, the clearer it got. She had already left the relationship. She just hadn't moved her things out yet. I started packing in secret. I took boxes to my friend Trevor's garage during lunch breaks. I sold my car privately. I transferred my savings into a separate account. I updated my mailing address. I canceled subscriptions and memberships tied to Portland. One night, Trevor looked at me over beers and said, "If she doesn't respect you, you don't owe her anything." "I just feel like I'm running away," I admitted. "You're not running away," he said. "You're running toward something better." On October 29th, I called the landlord and paid my half of the rent through the end of the year, plus an extra month. On October 30th, I packed the last of my things while Lauren was out at brunch, which had somehow become a 6-hour event in our life. I left my keys on the kitchen counter with a check for 2 months' rent. No note, no explanation. The next morning at 6:00 a.m., I boarded a flight to Dublin. I won't pretend that was noble. It was clean. It was quiet. It was also a choice I made because I didn't trust that she would hear me if I tried to talk. The first few months in Dublin were surreal. New city, new job, new routine. I threw myself into work, learning systems, meeting my team, proving myself. On weekends, I explored. I walked along the River Liffey, visited Trinity College, took trips to Galway and the cliffs of Moher, joined a football league, started running along the coast in the mornings. I felt lighter, like I'd been carrying something heavy for a long time and didn't realize it until it was gone. Lauren tried reaching out 2 days after I left. Aaron, where are you? Then, your stuff is gone. Are you ghosting me? Then, this is so immature. Call me. Then came the calls. Dozens in the first month. I never answered. I would watch my phone light up with her name, a photo from Costa Rica where we were both grinning on a beach, and let it ring until it stopped. By Christmas, the calls were less frequent. By January, they stopped. Around March, I met someone. Her name was Siobhan. I mispronounced it 3 times before she corrected me with a patient smile. She was 30, red hair, freckles, sharp wit, and she laughed in a way that made me feel relaxed instead of anxious. We met at a networking event. We joked about how hard it was to find good Mexican food in Dublin. We got drinks. Then dinner. Then it turned into something easy and steady. Siobhan didn't play games. If she was running late, she texted. If something bothered her, she talked about it. If she cared, she showed it without making you guess. It was such a stark contrast that it almost made me angry at myself for what I used to accept. By August, we were serious. My career was thriving. My personal life was healthy. I felt like myself again. Then my company sent me to a 2-week conference in San Francisco. Siobhan flew out to meet me for the last few days so we could explore the city together. I figured it was safe. Portland was far away. What were the odds? On our last night, I took Siobhan to an upscale Italian place in North Beach. Dim lighting, exposed brick, jazz playing softly. We were laughing, waiting for appetizers. Then I saw her. Lauren was near the hostess stand with 2 women, scanning the restaurant. Then our eyes met. For a second, neither of us moved. Then she started walking toward me, weaving between tables like she couldn't stop herself. Aaron. I set down my wine glass. Lauren. She looked different, thinner, like she'd lost weight, more angular, tired. Dark circles under her eyes. Her hair was shorter and darker. She glanced at Siobhan, then back at me, and her eyes filled with tears almost instantly. Can we talk? She asked, voice shaking. Siobhan looked at me, confused but calm. I nodded. Give me a minute. Of course, Siobhan said softly, squeezing my hand. Lauren and I stepped outside into the cool evening. The street was loud. Cars, tourists. A cable car rattling past. Fog rolling in from the bay. Lauren turned to me, and the first thing out of her mouth was anger wrapped around pain. What the hell, Aaron? She said. You just left. No explanation. One day you're there, the next you're gone. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I could ask you the same thing, I said. You checked out months before I left. That's not fair, she said quickly. It was fair when you told me you didn't owe me explanations, I replied. You stayed out all night. You ignored my calls. You made me feel like I was wrong for caring. She wiped at her eyes. Her mascara smudged. I was going through something, she said. I didn't know how to talk to you about it. So you stayed out until morning, I said, and treated me like I didn't matter. She opened her mouth, closed it, and looked down. When she looked back up, she was crying. I was pregnant, she said. Everything stopped. My chest went tight like the air had changed. What? I asked, quiet. I was pregnant, Aaron, she repeated. That night I came home late. I found out earlier that day. I took 3 tests at work. I was terrified. Her voice shook as she spoke, like she'd been holding this inside for too long. I didn't know what to do. I went to Kelsey's place. We talked all night. I drank too much. I smoked. I made terrible decisions because I was panicking. I should have told you, but I couldn't find the words. My mind raced, trying to catch up. And then, I asked, what happened? Her face crumpled. 2 weeks after you left, she said. I was alone, bleeding, scared. I went to the ER by myself. I tried calling you. I needed you and you were gone. The guilt hit hard. Not because I suddenly thought I was the villain, but because I pictured her alone in an emergency room and my stomach turned. Lauren saw my face and lifted a hand quickly. I know, she said. I know it's my fault. I pushed you away. I made you feel like you didn't matter. But I was scared, Aaron. Scared of what having a baby would mean. Scared you wouldn't want it. We never talked about kids. She swallowed. My mom got pregnant young. My dad left. And I think I was convinced you'd do the same thing. She looked at me through tears. So I pushed you away first. We stood there while pedestrians flowed around us like water, everyone living their own life around our mess. Inside the window, I could see Siobhan at our table, waiting without drama. I spoke slowly. "Why didn't you tell me that night?" I asked. Lauren shook her head. "I don't know," she said. "I thought you'd be upset or try to control the decision. I was irrational." I was terrified. I handled it wrong. I exhaled. "I'm sorry you went through that alone," I said, and I meant it. "I really am." She nodded, tears still falling. "But you made choices," I continued. "You chose not to trust me. You chose not to let me in. And when you shut me out, I stopped feeling like we were partners." She nodded again. "I know, and I lost you because of it." Her eyes flicked toward the window. "She seems nice," she said softly. "She is," I replied. "She's good to me." Lauren gave a sad smile. "You deserve that. You always deserved better than how I treated you." She wiped her face with the heel of her hand. "I've been in therapy for 6 months," she said. "I'm on antidepressants. I moved to Austin closer to my sister. I'm trying to do better." "I'm glad you're getting help," I said, and I was. "Thank you," she whispered. She took a shaky breath. "I should let you get back. I just needed you to know the truth." "I understand," I said, "and I'm sorry for how things ended, but we both made mistakes." She nodded once. "Goodbye, Aaron." "Goodbye, Lauren." She walked back inside, grabbed her friends, and left. I stayed outside another minute, feeling numb and sad and relieved all at once. Because sometimes the truth doesn't fix anything. It just explains why it broke. 2 days later, I flew back to Dublin. On the flight, Siobhan and I talked through everything. Honest conversation about my past, about Lauren, about why I left. Siobhan listened without judging me, without turning it into a punishment. She held my hand and made space for the complicated parts, which is something I didn't realize I'd been missing for a long time. Lauren and I exchanged a few emails after that. She apologized again. She explained more about therapy and how she was rebuilding. I told her I was glad she was getting better and that I hoped she found happiness. But we both knew there was no going back. 6 months later, I proposed to Siobhan at the cliffs of Moher. She said yes before I even finished asking. We're planning a small wedding in Galway next spring, close friends and family, simple and real. My life is good now, genuinely good. I live in a city I love. I'm engaged to a woman who communicates, who trusts me, who lets me in instead of pushing me away. I don't wake up anxious. I don't wonder where I stand. I think about Lauren sometimes, usually late at night, and I wonder if things could have been different if we'd talked sooner, if she'd trusted me with the truth. But I also know some relationships are meant to teach you what you won't accept, not what you'll keep chasing. I don't regret leaving. I regret how it happened. And I don't regret choosing myself when it became clear she had already chosen to keep me at arm's length. Lesson 1: privacy is normal. Secrecy that makes your partner feel unsafe is not. Lesson 2: when someone shuts you out and calls your concern control, the relationship is already leaning toward distance. Lesson 3: big fears don't justify cruel behavior, but they do explain why some people self-sabotage instead of asking for support. Lesson 4: if you want a future with someone, you have to let them in when it's hard, not just when it's easy. Lesson 5: you can feel compassion for someone's pain and still accept that the relationship is not repairable. What would you have done after hearing? I'm not obligated to explain where I am. Would you have tried one more serious conversation, or would you have made your exit the way Aaron did, quietly and for good?